There's obviously someone or some organization or organizations that are coaching them
is there a way
promoting
to
this
deal with
particular
this?
point.
Is there any way to deal with this? Again, the reason I'm rushing you along here is because there's a lot to jam into this hour.
The way to deal with this is to get to the bottom of this, see who has come up with this bright idea, because it's a relatively new phenomenon.
Yes.
There have always been children showing up without adult accompaniment, but not in these numbers. This is something new. The large scale is something new. So obviously this has to raise some very serious concerns with the authorities.
Yes.
Absolutely. This is something somebody's worked in a very innovative way. Children always generate more compassion and more love and more affection. Somebody's exploiting this situation.
And we've got to get to the bottom of this.
And you know what? Who will be caught in this? These very children. Because there will be children's aid ward. I mean, no proper, again, who educates them? Who teaches them survival skills? Who teaches them life skills? They are anybody's. In the end, they might be just a number. So somebody is making money. And that concerns me. How far should... I feel sorry for these children.
I do too.
But Christine, we can't feel sorry for the entire world. I'm sorry, but we can't. There comes a point where you say, that's the line you will not cross. Because we must protect those who are honest, who are hardworking, who come genuine
you see,
people.
you said a critical point here, that we must respect the hard-working, honest people.
Taxpayer
There's
people.
an opinion out there that, yes, open the borders wide, let whoever come in, and if they happen to stay here and prove themselves, well, then everybody's happy. I understand that thinking, but at the same time, the concern is, what about those that are being honest here?
I don't understand, but then the question comes, yeah, let's take everybody. Who pays for it?
Yes, okay.
How many of you are willing to pay 5% more tax? Raise your hand.
And
no
hand
hand will
go for
up.
a break on that. When we come
case.
back, we'll get straight to you on the phone lines. Don't go away. Hello again. Welcome back to our discussion about immigration. Let's go now to you, Adam, on line 5. Hi, Adam. You're on the line.
Hi. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Okay. So I've been listening into your conversations. I am a young man. I am 20 years old. I've just graduated high school 2 years ago. And I have to say, I kind of disagree with I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I mean, you previously made a comment that when did you last hear that a child wants to grow up and be a plumber or an electrician? Well, in today's day and age, children really don't know what they want. And I understand what you guys are trying to say about being
Good
prepared.
point.
That's what I said.
Right.
Sergio.
No aptitude test,
Adam's
no
right.
streamlining.
There's a fault within the system.
But the point remains that, of course, the caller is right, because children don't know what they want with precision at a young age. And the caller is right. But the fact remains that in Canada we don't produce enough plumbers, electricians, and other skilled workers
trades,
in order to sustain our economic development. So we have a need for people in those occupations, and that's what makes us having to look abroad to bring them. And that's an economic necessity, because otherwise, we can't build any buildings without them.
But you see, interesting thing is, and yet we said we are bringing 250,000 people. Why amongst them are not some electricians?
Well, there are.
Yes.
But that's a very interesting point, because that's one of the failures of the point system. The point system in Canada for skilled immigrants is geared towards attracting university graduates. We have now
it's outdated. Is that
what
you hear?
Well, let me tell you, the new ministerial instructions that were published last year have 38 occupational titles. Some of those occupational titles are now out of date because of the recession, and the recession cleaned up a lot of those titles. But the problem that we have is that there are, for example, electricians and plumbers in the list of occupations, but they can't pass the language test. They can't meet the point system, because the ministerial instructions act as a filter. So we need to find another way to bring those people, perhaps, allow them only if they are matched up with jobs. Or one very good thing that we could do immediately would be to encourage companies, particularly large companies that have a lot of projects all the time, to go abroad and recruit and bring the people with the jobs lined up. And we kind of have that right now with provincial nominees programs and with arranged employment, but not in an organized way. Where the government can assist is by getting its hands dirty, so to speak, and encouraging the employers that are clamoring for workers in specific occupations to go and recruit them abroad, to guarantee them a job for a number of years, of course, depending on the economy. And then, people who come in with pre-arranged employment and with good language skills are incredible assets to this country.
That's absolutely right.
Are very good assets here.
Yes.
But on the other hand, if we don't check all this and people do come, they still have needs. They have aspirations, they have expectations, which we cannot fulfill. So how fair is it to bring them? And so we have our 250,000, but out of those, how many are employed?
We're not managing the human resources right.
I have to tell you that the figure of 250 to 260,000 is somewhat misleading, because what happens is that the 260,000, 60% are supposedly economic immigrants and 40% are family class. So you take out 40% right away. From the 60% of economic immigrants, there may be one immigrant per family, but then he has a spouse, he or she has a spouse, has children. So the real pool of qualified workers ready to take up a job tomorrow is very small that we are bringing. And we are basically getting 2 firsts or 4 for ones when we are allowing people, and as we should, to qualify only one per family, and we assume that only one person will need to work in the household to maintain a standard of living in Canada. And as you know, that's nearly impossible these days. If he or she has a spouse, they need to work too, because it's not enough income from one person only to support the children, to put them through school, and to afford them a reasonable standard of living.
Another issue that we're grappling with that I want to direct at Alexandra for this one. You've got a lot of immigrants coming here that are highly educated, and their major complaint is the system's just not giving them a chance. Right. I mean, we hear about the complaints regarding the foreign doctors that are coming here, and it's a complex issue.
You see,
yes, go ahead, Alexandra.
Some, not all. I must be very careful. Some. There is a lot of fraud going on also in these areas. In many countries, you can get any degree. Go to the internet. What do you want? You can have it. And you see, and this is when they come to Canada. Thank God we have governing bodies, we have examining bodies who are saying, well, let's see what qualifications you have. And also, secondly, in some professions, you have to bring on the board the insurance companies. Because if insurance companies don't give you certain coverage, you can't work.